Welcome to the F1 Stop show. I'm your host, Sam Oney, and with me is Wes Spearman. It's good to be back after a very, very, very long time. Wes, how are you today, this evening?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty tired. Yeah, it is good to be back, isn't it? Another season of Formula One on the horizon. I think testing is in just over a week's time in Bahrain. About half the grid has released their cars already. Yeah, it's been a long time since we've done one of these, but we've got a lot to talk about, haven't we?
A lot about now. Between Max Verstappen's title win in December 2023 and up till now, we've had some we've had more outgoings and scandals rather than incomings of new drivers. So obviously the whole grid, no new drivers in the whole grid. Everyone stayed the same. And well, one of the biggest news was that Günther Steiner of Haas, he's no more with the American team. He left after 10 years. Um, how did you feel when you heard about that?
Shocked, I suppose. I wasn't expecting that to happen because obviously Stein's been uh, leading Haas since they came into F1 in 2016. He can be a bit hot-headed at times, to put it lightly, I suppose. But you get a sense that he really cares for that team.
Mm,
He's put a lot of effort and energy into trying to make Haas successful, and yeah, a lot of the times it hasn't quite gone his way, and controversies here and there with Rich Energy and Mazepin, um, those two being to be sort of prominent moments in Haas's short-lived F1 career so far. Um, yeah, you still get the sense that he really wanted to commit to making Haas um, a strong contender in Formula One, and yeah, unfortunately that hasn't happened. So they got Io Komatsu, I think is his name.
yeah,
Who I did see actually on WTF1, they shared a post saying that basically Io thinks that Haas are still going to be bottom of the pack, which isn't the most motivational words from your team principal, but I suppose in one way it is realistic. They aren't going to be challenging for that midfield, I suppose. Um, but yeah, just shocked that Steiner has left, and in a way, he hasn't got many results in the last few years, but part of that is down to money, or a lot of that is down to money. They don't have the money that other midfield teams do. Um, but yeah, we'll just have to see how Komatsu gets on at Haas. Hopefully, yeah, they can he can take Haas off the bottom of the constructor standings.
indeed. So yeah, Haas will be very different without Günther Steiner, it, on the pit wall during race weekends, and well, it remains to be seen whether they can, you know, keep Williams, in their sights, because it looks like the British team is the one closest to them, maybe Alfa Romeo as well. Um, so speaking of Haas, they were theoretically, I would say, the first car to launch, and well, they launched, well, beginning of February, if you like, and well, looking at the car, what do you make of it? And how different, or well, how non-different is the car?
Yeah, I'd say it's very similar to Haas's of previous years, isn't it? Perhaps a bit more black, a bit more of that exposed carbon fiber. Um, but overall, I'd say it looks pretty good. I mean, that's sort of what you see a Haas car looking like. It doesn't look that much different to last year's. It doesn't look that much different to when they first came into F1, 8 years ago now. Um, and yeah, unfortunately aren't many sponsors on there from a Haas perspective. But in a way, it makes the car look pretty clean. It doesn't make it look sort of clustered like McLaren has been in the last few years with sponsors here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah,
But overall, I quite like it. It's clean, it's simple. Um, Overall, I think it's a pretty good livery for Haas.
So just one question on it then. When you're designing a car, what's the what's the main like what's the main thing to consider about it? We could name three or four, but just give one main thing that's important when designing a car livery.
I'd say the main thing is trying to go with the shape of the car. Like you don't want it, you want colors in, you don't want colors to like sort of cross over. If you've got two different colors, that is, you don't want them to cross over onto like too many different bits. So you got to, I suppose, sort of keep it, yeah, with the flow of the car. And I think Haas have done that pretty well. They've got sort of let's say pinstripes, if you like, of the white on the side and sort of going along the nose down to the front. Obviously, it is mostly black, um,
Yeah.
but yeah, they've done it well. They've incorporated the two free colors well, um, and yeah, you don't get the sense that another color is sort of trying to take over another color on the car. It's pretty prominently black, but with the subtleties of the white, and I don't know if you can be subtle with a red, but they seem to have done it quite well. It sticks out where it needs to stick out on the front and rear wings of the car. Um, and it just helps that sort of black, almost like 80% of the car in the middle helps it stand out a bit more.
I mean, yeah, I like it as well. One thing I like about the car is are the side pods. Um, I really like how some side pods compared to last year, they were quite, you know, larger than usual, and I think past have, showed it here, and I think it will be the same for other cars in other when they are doing their launches. Um, I think it's really nice, you know, the big Haas logo across the side pod, and the color scheme works very well. So it's probably better than I expected. So yeah, how would you rate it out of 10? How would you rate? Seeing as the first car, you want to make a good impression, but how would you rate it out of 10?
Yeah, I'd say overall, perhaps a bit too much black. My liking is mostly it is just carbon fiber. There's not that much paint on there, let's be honest. I'll probably give it a seven. It is pretty good, but I think we've seen some better ones this year so far.
Okay, 7 out of 10. Um, I think yeah, I just think the black is a bit too much. But then again, looking at the Haas logo, it consists of white, red, black. But when you said black, it's taking up what, 85% of the whole car. It Yeah, and you question what it's gonna look like on the grid, especially when they're gonna be starting from the back of the grid, you know. So I think I might give it a 6 out of 10. It's okay. It's not the worst car, but it's all right. It's okay. 6 out of 10. So how about you talk us through the next car then?
Yeah,
Williams.
so the next one, yeah, Williams, as you say, sort of close to my heart, being an Oxfordshire team. But I suppose Haas are in a way based in Banbury. Um, yeah, Williams based in Wantage and Grove in South Oxfordshire, and again, very similar to last year's car. Heavily dark blue, navy blue, a bit of black on the sides of the front wings, and that sponsored airbox, air intake, whatever you call it, with Duracell and the battery. That looks fantastic. That's one of the I think greatest
Yeah.
livery design aspects in the last few years. I think personally for me. Um, yeah, it looks pretty good under the sort of blue lights that they've got it under in the pictures. I think it looks pretty good overall. You can see there are a few different shades of blue. You've got the white sort of again, not quite pinstripes on the back of the car over the engine. Um, yeah, overall just looks pretty good. But yeah, again, very similar to last year. What are your
I
thoughts?
mean, I love I just love the shade of blue, like the backdrop, even even like uh sorry, do you know what the lighting is called underneath the car? You
Oh,
know how
you know what? I can't remember. I know what you're on
is
about.
it
Yeah,
underglow?
it might be.
I think yeah, underglow. Like you know when they
If
have the
it's not,
little
we're calling it that now.
yeah. Okay, let's call it underglow then. I love it very much. If it's the car, if it's the car color, the whole scheme. Um, Comparing it to last year, I think one major difference is probably, you know, the different shade of blue. Because if you looked at it last year, it was rather, last year's car was almost a lighter shade of blue, maybe like, you know, sky blue, but this one's very ocean, like a deep, deep blue, almost, you know. But I think it's really good. I like it. I really like it very much. I don't know what it is, but it's really good.
So
Um,
what would you rate out of 10 the Williams livery?
it's I mean, wow, I don't know. I'd give it I think I might give it a 7.5, 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Um, I think what does it for me is probably the nose. So having like the golf sponsor along the nose and then the yeah, it looks all right. It looks really, really good. You know, not too much. The colors don't, clash with each other or anything like that. So 8 out of 10 for the Williams. What about you?
Yeah, I'm probably going to go with an eight. Actually, no, 7.5. I'm going to dock it half a point for sort of pretty much going against what I said with past and sticking to the sort of designs of the car and the curves of the car. They have got sort of a couple different blues on one section, but I think that's fine. It looks pretty good. It stands out with those two different shades of blue and uh, again the white and the black and the gold. The further up the car you get, um, into the airbox. So it does look pretty good. So yeah, 7.5 for me.
Now, the next one is Sauber, formerly known as Alfa Romeo. So they changed their whole name. Um, so instead of Alfa Romeo, they are now called Stake F1, Stake Kick Sauber F1.
Who knows? It's from like
Who
Stake,
knows?
F1 team, Kick Sauber. It's too many sponsors. It's just Sauber, let's be honest.
Yeah,
It's the same team that was Alfa Romeo, the same team that was Sauber when they had the blue, gold, and white cars, the same team that was BMW when Robert Kubica won in 2008.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's the same team, just different sponsors who have taken over the car, it seems.
Right. Should we have a look at the car then?
It's like Shrek took over the team in a way. It's very green.
It,
I say it's very green. It's like the green is proper like standout neon green, but
yeah,
there's also a lot of nothing on there. There's a lot of carbon fiber that you can see the weaves of the carbon fiber as well
yeah, a
in the
lot.
pictures. There's not a lot of paint on that car at all, but I think to be fair, I think the paint that is there it stands out really really well. I think that car is going to stand
Mm,
out at a lot of races, especially the night races this season because that green is just so bright and in your face
yeah,
that I'm not overly fussed about the lack of paint on the car. I am a little bit because I mean, yeah, carbon fiber does look good, but it does look a bit naff when you got it with that metallic green um, on the car. But yeah, that's my two pennies. What do you think?
um, honestly, I just think, I see I see more carbon fiber than I do see of green. One particular aspect that I like is how they've got the green on the inner tires. on the yeah, yeah. So on the inner tires inside, uh, they've got the green inside there. That's something I really like as well. Um, you mentioned something about it standing out on the grid, especially in night races. So like Bahrain, Singapore, it's gonna really stand out on track. So we can't have an excuse of saying, "Oh, where is where's the Sauber car?" And another thing, uh, another thing about the car, it almost looks like Envision Version Racing from Formula E.
Yeah, it
What do
does.
you
Yeah,
think?
looks very similar. I think that was one of the first things I said to you when I saw the livery. It looks a lot like yeah, Envision Racing's Formula E car with that like a very bright green, except Sauber got black, whereas I think Envision have got some sort of navy dark blue sort of thing going on. Yeah, I wonder if there's been a crossover in their design teams or something because they do look quite similar.
So what would you give it out of 10?
Um, I think overall I do quite like it because it does stand out. Um, and again, is it really a paint job if most of the job is just bare metal? You could ask. I'd say the paint that is there does actually look pretty good. I like the sort of almost zigzag on the back of the car, the sort of stripe going along the bottom of the side pod. And as you say, the green wheels do look really cool. Um, I'm going to give it a 6.5. I don't think I can push it to a six. I don't think I can up it to a seven either. So 6.5 for me. The paint that is there is good, but it's quite black. It's quite bland in a way.
Mm, yeah, I've got to agree with you on that one because looking at it, the only area of the car that's probably all green is the front wing. Because I'm looking at various different photos of the car, and it's almost like just the front wing that's all green. Um, the nose, the halo, everywhere else is all just black carbon fiber. It's not horrendous. Don't get me wrong, but it's just a bit. Yeah, you'd want actual color on it, you know. But I'm gonna give it a sensible 6 out of 10. Mediocre. I think anything lower than six, even five. Anything lower than five, then you're really like it's
Yeah.
not great.
It would just have to be a straight up bad livery to get like lower than a five or something. And I don't think Salves is quite that. I don't think it's great, but it's not bad. Like it will make the car stand out, but
Yeah.
yeah, just the raw carbon fiber does just look a bit naff and a bit.
Mm.
We ran out of money. We ran out of money for the paint.
And also, before we move on from Sauber, what do you make of their overalls for their drivers?
That's a good. I'm gonna have to look up what they're wearing. I don't think I've actually seen this. I'm just trying to find.
Because
Um, Need to talk us through them whilst I try and find them.
I saw because I saw it on Twitter. Uh, Bottas was in his new threads for this upcoming season, and they were comparing it to last year. So basically, this year he's gone like all green and black overalls, but just it's just when I look at it and comparing it to last year's one, I'm like, oh, this doesn't look good. I don't. Oh, it makes me want to like throw up or something. I just didn't like it.
I've just seen the pictures, and to be fair, on the whole, I think the overalls look okay. But it's
Mm,
like you said, you're not really sure about it because you go from a Sauber with sort of like a dark red, white,
yeah,
the Alfa Romeo brand sort of signifies sort of class in a way. Like it's a classy sort of brand, Alfa Romeo, I think. And then you go from something that is bright green. It just doesn't. It's not quite the same sort of prestige
Yeah.
if you like, to go from Alfa Romeo, you got a sort of quite a cool looking red with the white, two colours that go together really well. Then yeah, green and black go well, but it's a bloody bright green with sponsors that no one really knows what they're about. Obviously, Sauber in a way is it's a historic-ish team. It's been in F1 for quite a while now. Um, I think it was Minardi at the start. I can't quite remember. Um, yeah, went through BMW back to Sauber, then um, I think it stayed Sauber for quite a while. Actually, come to think of it. Yeah, I had drivers like Kamui Kobayashi, Sergio Perez, Robert Kubica got the race win in 2008, as I mentioned. Um, and he had this sort of era of the sort of blue, white, and gold Saubers around sort of 15, 16.
Mm.
And yeah, Alfa Romeo came in, um, and here we are now with Stake, Kick, Sauber, F1, whatever the hell it's called. And they've just gone, let's make it green, let's make it stand out. But yeah, it's not quite the same class and prestige as the Saubers have looked in the past.
So 6 out of 10 for fake F1 green green team. Well, at least no one will. At least there won't be any complaints about not being able to spot the car on the grid because it's probably the most standout car on the grid so far. Um, Next one into the French Alps. It's Alpine. Now I'm just loading the page I'm just loading pictures of the car on my laptop, and it's almost it's almost similar to last year.
Yeah,
It's
I'd
almost
say
similar to
it's
last year's car.
yeah, it's again, it's very similar. There's sort of a theme with these teams that they're keeping it quite similar to 2023's cars. Um, but I think this year's Alpine's got even less paint on it than last year's. It is the whole mid bit is pretty much black, with the exception of a few sponsor logos, and of course BWT with their bright pink. Yeah, a lot of the car is just black, exposed carbon fiber. The front nose I really like. I like the funny enough, I quite like the black and the different shades of blue on there. But yeah, just the whole mid portion of the car, the main sort of actual bulk of the car is just nothing with a few sponsor logos on it. And the back, they've
Yeah,
gone from the red, white, and blue, the pink that they've had in the last few years, to just again just black with you got a bit of pink because of the sponsor and the white A for Alpine, but there's nothing much there to it really. Let's be honest. I
mm,
mean, overall for me, I think it's the worst of the grid so far that we've seen that have
it
been announced.
there's nothing there's nothing about the car that's making me to describe it going into detail because, as you said, it's just a lot of black and there's just little bits of pink and blue from the BWT sponsor. Not really much you can say about it.
I do quite like the wheels though. They've done the same thing that Sauber have done. They've got blue wheels at the front, pink at the back. I do quite like that. That's the
Oh
one
yeah,
plus point I have for the car.
yeah, I like that. That's very nice. They can have that. They can have that. But everything else, it's almost pretty much the same. So how would you rate it out of 10?
Um, Again, it is similar to last year's, but as I've said, it is just a bit naff, a bit nothingy. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. It's not great. I'll be honest, I don't think.
And I don't know why, but they've done it again where they're gonna run the same car but in two different colors. You know, one's gonna be blue and the other's gonna be pink. Whether they're gonna run like two races with one car and then the rest with the blue or vice versa, I don't know. But yeah, out of 10, that car, 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. I don't like it. It's just it, there's no detail about it. It's just black. Now, this next car is probably going to be the most. I wouldn't say I wouldn't say controversial. I think controversial would have been or should have been Sauber, but this next car is probably going to be better than I expected. More like, ladies and gentlemen, introducing Racing Bulls.
It is a throwback, isn't it? Overall, really, it's like we went back. We got in a time machine to what 7 years ago and got to the sort of Pierre Gasly, Brendan Hartley era of Toro
Yeah,
Rosso. Well, that year where they had like four drivers in two cars. I think they had Gasly, Hartley, Sainz, I think was one, and someone else, Albon maybe. I can't quite remember now.
mm,
But yeah, it's giving off those sort of era Toro Rosso vibes, if you like. You got the bright blue, you got the white. I love the red and the white sort of stripes and the Honda and Hugo logos on the side. Um, Again, the front wing looks pretty cool. Most of it's that dark blue, but you've got those shades of the white sort of running down the sides. Um, Overall, I actually really like it. I quite like that. It's the same team as Toro Rosso under a different name now. RB Racing Bulls. These are Cash App rubbish name F1 team, whatever you want to call it. Um, it looks
too
quite good,
many
and then
words.
hats.
Too many
It is,
words.
yeah, too many words, too many sponsors. I was sort of worried about this one given the new sponsorship, but overall, I think they've done a pretty good job overall. Fair play to them. What's your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, like name aside, the actual car is pretty good. Um, I love the I love the Bulls logo. Just over the cockpit. Um, the color scheme is great. As you said, it's giving off Toro Rosso vibes, and I really like it. It's probably it's probably the best of the lot so far, I have to say. Um, and it's looking at a very high rating. What do you think? If you see this car on the grid, what are your thoughts?
I feel like you just think that is Toro, so that is Racing Bulls. It is just them in a nutshell. Obviously it has those throwback vibes to the Toro Rosso era, if you like. Um, yeah, it is just that team in a nutshell. Really, you can't really say much more than that. You just think it's the Red Bull Junior team, sister team, whatever. It's just that on a car, and I think they've done that really well this year.
So, how would you rate it out of 10?
Straight up and give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's really, really good. All the colours work really well. Big fan of the red and white stripes with the Honda logo and the Hugo logos. And yeah, the main actual title sponsors, they don't stick out too much, unlike Stake, for example. um, uh, yeah, I think they've incorporated those really, really well. 9 out of 10.
Racing Bulls giving great Toro Rosso vibes. I couldn't agree more with it being giving it a rating of 9 out of 10. It was just a great car, like probably the best of the lot so far. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, best of the lot. As you say, 9 out of 10. Even though those Toro Rosso vibes, I feel like we said that a lot in like the
Yeah,
last 5 minutes of this podcast. Toro Rosso vibes, but it's the same team, and yeah, the sponsors haven't taken over the car, so yeah, 9 out of 10. Pretty good effort from RB Racing Bulls, Bija Cash App Racing Bulls. Yeah, let's move on.
it's a handful, I know. Well, mouthful. Anyway, right then. Aston Martin, based in Silverstone, British car. Um, They actually launched today, this morning, Monday, and I saw the car, a- and it was all right. It was okay, you know, green. So I didn't really expect much, other than one difference that I did see was this year's green was a lot darker, if you like, than last year's. Maybe because of the lighting. I don't know, but I saw a slight difference. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's pretty. I feel like it's pretty much the same colours that we've seen since Aston Martin became Aston Martin in Formula One. It is those. I think they're the Aston Martin racing colours. Those two sort of shades of green. Yeah, that darker green throughout most of the car, and then the subtleties of almost like neon yellow, if you like.
Yeah.
That sort of that green running along the bottom of the car, which is fantastic. I think. What I don't like so much about it is that there again the black, the raw carbon fiber is creeping in. They've not painted sort of where the side pod meets the airbox, the engine cover. Sort of so like on top of the side pods, it is just black carbon fiber, which I don't think looks great. I mean, from the side it looks great because you can't see it, but when you move the camera up slightly, then you can see that raw carbon fiber, and yeah, it doesn't look fantastic. The front looks pretty cool. The nose is pretty clean with that green, as you say, and the black um, on the actual like wing itself. Um, but yeah, overall, I feel like it's pretty good. I don't think it's Aston Martin's best effort in Formula One since they came into the fold. But overall, it's a pretty solid delivery. I mean, it is Aston Martin's colours. It is their brand. But yeah, again, just a bit too much, or a lack of paint, if you like.
Um, Carbon fiber, as you've mentioned, it's been a thing. It's popped up quite a few times now. It just goes to show that there's not been enough paint on some of these cars, and you know some have pulled it off great, where others may have you know not done the best. But what can he do? Well, Aston Martin then. How do you rate it out of 10?
I think I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. That might be a little bit generous, perhaps. The colours on there work fantastically. They're such fantastic colours. It's just a shame we can't see the whole car in them because they've decided to not bother painting some bits. If the whole car was that darker green with those excuse me, those lighter pinstripes along the car like we've seen in previous years, fantastic, brilliant livery. But again, it's the lack of painting. It's the wanting to keep the weight down, I suppose, is the main factor in all these cars throwing the carbon fiber rather than actual paint. So you got to remember that the paint a lot of paint actually weighs quite a bit. And I know that the paint on these cars will be sort of a special paint, low weight, whatever it is, and the thinnest smear of paint on the car is that they can possibly manage. But so they just want to shed weight even more by not painting the cars, and unfortunately, it doesn't look that great.
Um, yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. I think seeing the car and everything, it's don't get me wrong, it's a decent car, but it wasn't really an when I saw it, it wasn't really an eye opener. It wasn't really a wowzer moment for me, if you like. It was just a normal, you know, mediocre sort of. So like I was gonna give it like a generous 6 out of 10. It's not good, it's not bad, and it's definitely not Alpine. So yeah, 6 out of 10, generous. Of all the deliveries that we've talked about so far, is there one that you know coming into it you had very high hopes for it, and is there one that delivered better than you thought?
Um, I don't know if I had sort of high hopes for any of them. I mean, I like the Williams livery. I like the blues on there. Yeah, I just wanted Aston Martin to be a bit more, if you like. Yeah, we know that those greens are their colours, but they could have just done a bit more with them, and again, just painting the car a bit more. Stop leaving that exposed carbon fibre. Um, yeah, the two teams that have sort of rebranded, if you like, Sauber and RB. I wasn't really sure what to expect, and I think they've both done a pretty good job. Obviously, RB more than Sauber. Again, making it look like a Toro Rosso from 6, 7 years ago. It looks brilliant. Except with the white on instead of the silver again, I think makes it stand out a bit more. Um, Sauber, I had no idea what to expect really. I wasn't really expecting a bright green car when I heard they'd rebranded. I remember hearing some of the green cars are unlucky, but we'll see how that pans out for them. But again, overall, first impressions of it were it stands out quite a lot, and the impressions still are it stands out quite a lot. But when you get a bit closer to it in those pictures on the Formula One website, yeah, but again, that exposed carbon fiber, the stake logos pretty much everywhere. They've got like two on the rear wing, on the front wing, on the sides, and the engine cover. It's everywhere. Um, and it's like, is that your only sponsor besides the kick logo on the nose? Um, so yeah, they've taken over the team, and again, done an okay job. The car will stand out. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, as an actual livery, it's a bit meh compared to like we said earlier, compare like the class of an Alfa Romeo badge and livery and colours to bright green. And bright green isn't really something you associate with like class. And I know obviously not everything has to be like classy, but for a name like Sauber to go for an Alfa Romeo, huge Italian car brand, a historic car brand, to go to this thing that no, it's like some gambling or something thing stake. I'm not sure what it is. I don't really care
Yeah.
what it is. I'll be honest. But it loses that prestige of Sauber as a team in a way, and I think the livery shows that change.
Um, yeah, I was kind of like disappointed with it because, well, like you said, when they said, Savile was gonna have a rebranding, I wasn't really expecting like, you know, something big to happen. But comparing it with Racing Bulls, the way they kind of teased it, they changed their whole name from it being AlphaTauri to Racing Bulls. Everyone was asking questions. Oh, what's their name gonna be? You know, and then we came up with a Visa Cash App Racing Bulls or RB, if you like. But I think the thing that really saved RB and the whole name thing was delivery. Bringing back that Toro Rosso type, you know, car, it really saved their name. So yeah, we're all gonna struggle with saying their name, but just looking at the car, it didn't disappoint. Didn't disappoint. Speaking of not disappointing, we still have a few more cars to come through, but they're not. They will be dropping later in the week. I believe we have Ferrari tomorrow. No,
We've got
sorry,
two on. Oh, yeah,
Ferrari,
I think it's Ferrari on the 13th, and then you've got McLaren and Mercedes both on the 14th.
right?
And then we've got, I think, Red Bull not until like the 16th or something. And I think that's all the teams done by then, I think,
Yeah,
unless I'm missing one.
yeah. I saw online on Twitter that Ferrari are, teasing everybody a bit of what their car's gonna look like, and I can guarantee it's going to be red. Like no other color. Ferrari, it's going to be red. That's a given.
It would be shocking if the Ferrari was anything other than red, wouldn't it? It's like was it a few years back where they added like a bit of green onto the top of the engine cover because of the mission
I
windows.
remember that.
It just looked awful.
I,
It just looked like someone
I
sneezed
think
on
it
the car.
was it I think it was the season of Vettel's last Vettel's last season in F1, was it? Or maybe
Possibly
this was a
with Ferrari, yeah.
yeah, with Ferrari. Yeah, I think so. That wasn't good. Didn't really stand out. Anyway, that's the car launches for now. So a few more. Right then. Away from car launches and into preparing for the F1 season. And well, what's F1 without silly season? The term silly season is defined as where drivers and teams, if you like, move around. So one driver moves to another team, and another driver moves to another team, and it almost becomes a domino effect, if you like. So one move is going to affect everybody's move. So if you've played dominoes, you know what I'm talking about. And let's just say this kind of silly season was just one move, but it wasn't just any move. Whereas, do you want to take this away? Because I think you might better. You might do you want to drop the mic bomb a bit? Just
I feel like the mic's already been dropped, given obviously the news came out a little while ago that yes, Sir Lewis Hamilton leaving the Silver Arrows, the team with which he has won 6 world titles, that alone would put him second place in the all-time World Drivers' Championships. He, of course, got that one with McLaren in 2008 as well. But yeah, he's what was it Vettel said? Everyone is a Ferrari fan. Even though you don't admit you're a Ferrari fan, everyone's a Ferrari fan. And yeah, Hamilton in the Ferrari red from 2025. I think when I first heard the sort of, I feel like these it's been rumored for like ages. Just like, oh, Hamilton's going to go to Ferrari at some point, and when I first heard
yeah,
them a
it's
few
it's
weeks ago, I was
not
just
like
like, sorry, go on.
yeah. When you said it's been a long, you know, like it's happening. It's not as if like this just randomly came up. It's not like in football when players are suddenly unhappy, they're like, oh, I want to move, and then they can get a move later. I think in F1, I think we heard Hamilton speak about it, briefly sometime last year, you know, and it almost went like under the carpet for a few months, but behind the scenes, drivers and well, team principals, especially Ferrari, they were talking. But yeah. So when you heard this news break, what were your first thoughts? I can't even speak.
Uh, I'll be honest, I thought it was just a load of rubbish. I think it was just, I think it was Sky Sports that the first sort of came out that oh it might be happening, or they were like he is set to move to Ferrari, but it was just like is that true? I put oh well I'll believe it when I see it sort of thing. I
Yeah,
didn't believe it at all. And then lo and behold, 2 3 hours later, oh it's actually
yeah.
confirmed. He's actually moving to Ferrari for next
It's
year.
actually happening.
Um, I
It's
know.
happening.
It's like that scene
It's actually
in it's that scene in the American Office where you go, everybody stay calm.
yeah,
As where's your eye all over the place. Yeah, it's yeah the biggest driver transfer in history, isn't it? I think I
yeah.
think this is like it's like earthquake level news of driver transfers, of team transfers in any sport, I suppose, ever.
Mm. Because the way I see it is that you know in F1, other than Mercedes, who is the biggest motorsport team that everyone wants to drive for? That's Ferrari. Who's driven for Ferrari in the past?
Schumacher,
Not- Notably Schumacher, Alonso, um,
Raikkonen, Vettel,
Ascari, I believe.
possibly, I think, or Fangio. One of they might have been Maserati. I can't remember. That's going
Mm,
way back to the beginning.
that's
Um,
going back into the
I'm struggling
50s.
to think of struggling to think of Ferrari drivers now.
Um, yeah. Well, anyway,
Barrichello,
everybody
there's
wants
another
to
one.
drive. Everybody wants to drive for Ferrari, and when I heard this news, I was like, "Wow!" It's. I don't think it could have happened to any other person, but Lewis Hamilton. I mean, to be in the sport for so long, and to get a move like that, I think the question on everybody's mind would have been, you know, when was he gonna stay with Mercedes or was he really intent on going? Because it looked to me that Hamilton didn't really talk about it a lot. You know, he talked about it here and there, but he kind of like because he's been with Mercedes for such a long time, he tried to, just keep it respectful.
Yeah, I mean, he's only been with what two teams his whole career. Obviously, started off with McLaren in 2007, moved to Mercedes in 2013, I think, for that season. Um, and yeah, has won 7 world titles, the joint most ever. And he's what, 38, 39 now. He's, I think, the oldest driver on the, actually, no, second oldest. I forgot about Alonso for a second. Um, yeah, so yeah, by the time he finishes his finishes his contract with Ferrari, he'll be what, 41, 42 in I assume like
Wow.
2026 for if he's on a 2-year contract. Um, and yeah, you always got the sense that Hamilton would retire with Mercedes, the team he's had so much success with over the past 11 years now. Um, you just got the sense that he's not going to drive for Ferrari, even though everyone wants to drive for Ferrari. I mean, come on, it's the most historic team in motorsport ever. Let's be honest. Um, it's the most prestigious badge in all of motorsport. But yeah, you never got the feeling that he's actually going to move to Ferrari. It sort of became like when is he if he's going to do it, when is he going to do it? Because like Mercedes were so successful for so many years, they've not been that as successful these last 2 years. Toby Hamilton thought, right, these new regulations aren't quite cutting it with this car. I'm coming to the end of the career. Let's do something that I've always wanted to do. Let's go and drive for Ferrari. Obviously, with Sainz's contract up at the end of this season, that opportunity became available to him. Um, and yeah, he's just took it as any driver on that grid would, I think, unless you're Max Verstappen. You're not going to leave Red Bull at the moment. But yeah, I mean, any driver wants to drive for Ferrari at some point in their career, and for him to do it in what I assume will be his last few years in F1
Mm.
sort of seems fitting in a way that yeah, he's been so successful with these other teams, Mercedes in particular, and finally at the end of career or the back end of his career, he fulfills his childhood dream to drive for the prancing horse. I think it's a fantastic story.
I'm very, very happy for him. Um, one of two of the biggest questions I think that are on everybody's lips are number one, what will his relationship be like with Charles Leclerc as a teammate? And the second question, the most burning question, will be can he win races with the Scuderia Ferrari? I think that's the question on everybody's lips because Hamilton hasn't won a race in what 2 years. The last race he won was When was that?
Must have been in 2021 at some point.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I think Verstappen won like the last three or four, I think, that season. It was probably Brazil, let's be honest. Hamilton loves to win in
yeah, probably.
Brazil.
Yeah, he loves Brazil.
Obviously, Russell got the win in Brazil in 22, but yeah, Hamilton himself, yeah, 2 years without a race win for someone with whatever 100, like 120 race wins, is it at least? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, is something that's unheard of. I think these last couple of seasons it has been his first winless seasons in Formula One, and that's a career that's almost going on 20 years. It's quite extraordinary.
Um, but yeah, and it just lead it, this move, this transfer move, it just leads to so many questions because not only is Hamilton gonna go to Ferrari in 2025, but you got a question of Mercedes. Who's gonna partner with George Russell? And there are one or two names that have been popping up. I've been seeing Fernando Alonso. I've been seeing Carlos Sainz. I mean, no disrespect, but Carlos Sainz going to Mercedes, I don't know. Um, one name really that I really liked that I saw was Alex Albon. Um, I think he had a very impressive season last year. Um, I think he was in the top. His qualifying last year was pretty impressive. A few top 10 finishes. I was very impressed by that. What do
Yeah,
you think?
Williams obviously being a Mercedes, not necessarily partner team, but obviously engine provider of Williams. Um, I've also seen Esteban Ocon. His name has been thrown around, being a former Mercedes junior driver, former Mercedes test driver. He could be in with a shout. I don't know if he's. I'll be honest, I don't know if he's quite good enough for that Mercedes seat, but we'll have to wait and see how he gets on this year. Um, yeah, Carlos Sainz, that would be an interesting move for sure. I don't think he's quite the right fit for him. Um, but yeah, do you promote, as you say, do you promote Alex Albon, Esteban Ocon, or dare I say it, bring back Mick Schumacher? He's test driver for Mercedes
Mm.
at the moment, is he? Um, oh yeah, do you go a bit left field and yeah, bring in a Carlos Sainz or someone completely different, someone who's perhaps not even on the grid this year? Who knows? Um, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what pans out for 2025. Who gets that Mercedes seat? I'll be hugely disappointed if Sainz doesn't have a seat in 2025. I think he's more than deserving of an F1 seat. Sainz has been a fantastic driver since he came into F1 with Toro Rosso and then Renault, McLaren, and now Ferrari, where he's got I think what, three for all race wins under his belt. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it would be a huge shame to see him out of Formula One for any period of time. Um, yeah, it certainly is going to be interesting to see who Mercedes decide to put in that second seat. Let's be honest, it will be a number two role, I think, with Russell at the helm once Hamilton goes. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Mercedes can be competitive without Hamilton. And again, if they can get back on to that top step of the podium more regularly once Hamilton has gone as well.
So I've got a question for you, a bit of a crystal ball question. Where do you see Hamilton winning his first race in Ferrari colours? So
It's yeah,
2025 season is here. Where do you see him getting that top step?
it's an interesting one because yeah, Ferrari won the only race that Red Bull didn't win in 2023. Can't remember which race that was actually.
Singapore.
Singapore, yes, well remembered. Yeah, I don't think it will be one of the sort of main power tracks, if you like a Bahrain, a Saudi. I think we're gonna have to wait a little while. I think it could be Monaco. It's a track that Hamilton
Really?
really likes. Yeah, I think Monaco. Um, track that Hamilton really likes. He won there several times. I think he's the record race winner at Monaco. So I might correct me on that. Um, Yeah, it's a track that obviously favors more sort of handling and aerodynamics as opposed to power.
Yeah.
Yes, Red Bull will be strong there, as they'll be strong at pretty much every track I can imagine. But I feel like those street tracks, those slower tracks, sort of even the field out a little bit. Um, and we saw Charles Leclerc um, do almost an insane quali lap a few years ago for Ferrari, and I think had that crash in like the last sector or something.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, Ferrari can be competitive there. And I think it wasn't too long ago. Again, Sainz was on the podium. I think Ferrari. It might have been McLaren. Did Leclerc win it that year? I can't remember. But yeah, I just feel like it's a track that Ferrari will be more competitive at compared to other tracks on the calendar. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, a Hamilton first race win for Ferrari at Monaco is that would just be a dream come true for him, I think, wouldn't it? Besides Silverstone, maybe, but Silverstone's later on in the year. I want to win a race with Ferrari before Silverstone, that's for sure.
No, Hamilton has to win Silverstone by default. Like he's a British driver. He's British. He has to. He has to. Um, I think. I mean, I don't like street tracks. Are not really my thing. I don't like street tracks, but I was thinking maybe Canada, Montreal. I'm purely because I'm going back to that race win in 2008. You know, or was it no 2007? No, 2008 Canadian Grand Prix. Yeah. Um, and maybe he could do it again. And he's no stranger to Canada, so like he could really get that win. But wherever it's gonna be, whether it's Monaco, Monza, Canada, Silverstone, everybody's gonna be excited. So we just have to wait and see. Um, just lastly, before we round off, end of the month, uh, the 2024 season kicks off in Bahrain. What are you excited for?
I'm just excited to see the cars back on track again, battling it out. Hopefully, we get a closer season than last year. Hopefully, it's not Red Bull walking away with it pretty much every race again, like we saw in
Mm,
23. Um, yeah, just more midfield battle. I'd like to see McLaren push on even further than they did last year. I think they had a pretty good season in 2023. But yeah, to see McLaren sort of battling it out for that best of the rest, almost challenging the third best, if you like, challenging Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, maybe for those podiums and a race win. Who knows? Would love to see that. Yeah, I suppose just more competitiveness, if you like. It was a bit too easy for Verstappen last year, so
yeah.
yeah, just, if the field can close up a bit, if more teams can challenge Red Bull, then that'll be all the better, I think. What are you looking forward to?
Um, I think I'm looking forward to basically all that you said, because that's what we want. We want more, more competitive racing. We don't want to see 20 races, which is going to be the longest race. It's going to be it's going to be a long season. We don't want to have 24 races and then we see Red Bull winning, 23 of them. And I don't know, Charles Leclerc wins somewhere that one lone race. We want to see, Alpine. We want to see Red Bull, Ferrari, and McLaren, tussling it for a podium. Who goes into that turn one first. So it's going to be exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. Well, we've had this we've had that's been the episode for car launches. We've had like what 6 cars being launched now. We've got a few more to go. um so yeah, we hope you've enjoyed this episode. I've been your host, Sam Oni. It's a goodbye from me. Bye bye. And it's a goodbye from Wes.
Bye bye.
And we'll see you again next time.